Hello, good morning, everyone. I think I can start. All right. So before I start, I would like to check few things with the audience. All right. So you can use the chat session to reply to me. Uh, is my audio clear? Can you hear all of you? Can you hear me clearly? That's very good. How about the presentation? Is the presentation? Can you see? All right, that's good. So for me, from my side, I had disabled my audio to avoid the echo. So any questions, any feedback, you are welcome to post in the chat session. Okay, I will post also some links inside the chat session. And let's make this talk into an informal discussion. Let's be very comfortable with each other. So let me begin first. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Pradeep. All right. I'm from Department of Computer Science, Faculty of Information and Communication Technology, University Tunku Abdul Rahman, Kampar campus. All right. So if you look at the screen now, some of my information, all right, the details about my talk, about my things, the material that I have created previously, you can actually access from my website. Okay. So I post the link in your chat. So you can just have a browse about myself and the organization that I work, that is actually Utah Kampar campus. Right. So I'm working in Department of Computer Science, where tools such as programming languages play a very important role. So one of the tools I'm going to use today is R programming language. So let's see today. So today talk or webinar is about data wrangling using R. Okay, data wrangling using R. Basically an introduction, very basic introduction about data wrangling itself, but I'm going to use programming language R. All right. So what we're going to do first is about me as usual. So I already post to you. All right. I already post to you about my personal website. So I'm not going to go a lot of details on that. You can just browse through all this information there. And some of the materials that I'm going to present today is already in my YouTube channel also. Okay, some of the materials that I'm going to present to you today, I already developed some video tutorials about it. So if you are interested to learn more, right, you can check it out. Right, you can check it out. All right, so some of the important things are there also. A lot of video tutorials I have posted there, but mostly it all involve programming language such as R and such as Python. Okay, for those of you that is very new, like this is the first time you're getting introduced, do not worry about that. This is supposed to be very introductory. So can you share with me, all right, what are the programming language you have learned in school before? Anybody want to share in the chat session? Can you share with me the programming language that you have experienced before? C, good. Anybody else? C, C++, okay, very good. Python, yeah, Python is very famous. C++, okay, that's good. All right, so Dart, all right. Okay, Dart, mobile development, correct, right? All right. Okay, good. It seems you all are aware of what is a programming language, and I'm not going to discuss here which is the best programming language or not. It's always about what is the process you want to do, and we use programming language as a tool there. All right. So if you're interested to know more about me, that's it. So you can actually view my YouTube channel and also my personal website. All right, great. Right, let's get introduced first. Today is about R. Okay, R programming language. Anybody heard about R programming language before? Any one of you? Any experience? Yeah, that's good. No, okay, do not worry about that, but you'll be surprised the amount of programming languages out there. All right, so it's keep on coming, but some of it is very stable. So today I'm going to introduce you. To be honest, it's just introduction, very basic. If you don't have any background or you never installed to play around with you, we try to do it together so that you have rough idea what is R and what it can be done. All right. That's good, no worries. So R is a programming language and a free. That's the keyword, free software environment for statistical computing and graphic. So it's not going to be that user friendly like maybe Power BI or maybe like SAP Cloud. So, but still some basic programming skill are still required. For example, like Python and R. So this is the logo, all right? And the best, I'm not going to say the only one, but the best that I use is RStudio. RStudio is an IDE. All right. For example, I see some of you say that you use C before, correct? So you use Visual Studio Code. And most of you will have experience using Visual Studio Code, correct? So you can use that. So make sure you know what is the difference between a programming language and an IDE, integrated development environment. All right. So here IDE that I'm going to use for demonstration today is RStudio. Well established, very stable, and widely used to deploy or develop anything related to R programming language. All right. So later I'll show you, like this is some just rough. I think I can make this into a full screen. All right. All right. So this is some rough how the ID will look like. Okay. That's good. So for those that interested to do together with me, you can try this. All right. I just leave this screen for a while, but it's very fast. Okay, because it's going to use only install base R. So if you're interested to know this, I'll share this also. But how to install this is available in my website. You can just view my website and then you can learn how to install this. So I have prepared two things. The first thing, you must install R. Okay, first you need to install the programming language first. All right. So I'll provide the link all here. You can just click and view it. I'll share it, but you can view this in my how to install R is in my website also. Later I'll provide you, and I can share with you slides also if you want it. All right. So first you need to install the R. Okay, that's good. So you can just roughly later when you have the slides, you can just click here, and you just download the R. So this step-by-step guide is very easy for you to follow, and if you Google search also, you're going to see a lot of guide how to install this. But remember, first you need to install R and you need to install RStudio. Okay, some of you might ask, do I need a very powerful device or very high spec requirement? I don't think so. You need that. Okay, for basic introduction, a minimum working environment is sufficient. Right? Maybe a 4 gig RAM or something like that is sufficient. Unless, when things change, you're working with a data set that is huge and things like that. All right. And another easiest way that we can actually do, and all of you can try, thanks to availability of things called as cloud. Okay. I think how many of you heard the term cloud? Not the cloud awan. Okay. How many of you have heard the word cloud before? Anybody? Yes, that's very good. So I think most of you by now have some sort of awareness or exposure to the term cloud. So everybody going to have their own cloud infrastructure for you to work. And RStudio actually have their own cloud also. So what I do, I'll give you the link for this. Oops. All right. This is very easy to follow link. Check in the chat session for the link. All right, I provide that. So you can actually use the free version, get started for free, because today class, you can use the free version. So that's the good about cloud. You don't need to install anything. You can just do it in the cloud. You just need to have a good internet connectivity and a browser, then it's sufficient. So anybody that want to try or want to follow my lab today or my webinar today, you can actually, I prefer for you to use the cloud. All right, it's very easy. Just go to get started for free. Then you'll get this free, and then you just sign up. Okay. All right. So I'll give you like few 1 to 2 minutes for you to prepare this. All right. But for those that don't have this yet, don't worry. You can still follow also, or later when you go to my YouTube channel, I provide you how to do this also. You can check it out also. Okay. So don't worry. So if you have any question, please chat with me and just post in the in the chat. All right, that's good. Any question for now? All right, that's good. All right, so let's continue with this. So I assume you have some sort of two options here. First, you install in your own machine. All right. For me, this is a Windows kind of arrangement. Let's say you work in open source or you work on a Mac, then you need to fine tune a bit. Let's say you face this kind of trouble, you're always welcome to chat with me. You just message me, I will help you how to install that. So don't worry about that. So this arrangement is basically is a Windows. Can you see the .exe? So it's Windows arrangement. All right. All right. Okay. So the first thing, so I'll demo this about the basic programming language. Very basic actually. Exactly. Tang Zien, you're correct. Okay, the cloud. Okay, in Google Colab also you can actually use R, but you need to do a lot of customization. But if you see my YouTube channel, I have a video on Google Colab. So Python is the easiest lah. But as what Tan Zien mentioned, it's similar to Google Colab. Okay, the R Studio is similar to Google Colab, but it's mainly meant for R programming languages lah. Right? So let me demo a few things. First, if you look at this, this is R Studio. Okay, if you look at the screen now, this is what the IDE of R Studio will look like. If you see here, you have 4 different sections. Okay, so I assume everybody can see my R Studio screen. Huh? Can everybody see that? Okay, good. So can you see like a 4 area or 4 compartment here? All right. So if you see on your left hand side, some of you by default, if you use the Google Colab also, you're gonna see things similar to this. Okay, that's why I like Google Colab, but R Studio Cloud. But the thing is, R Studio Cloud rely heavily on your internet. Okay, so if your internet is bad, then you're gonna struggle a lot lah. Okay, so but if your internet is good, your connectivity is good, then R Studio Cloud will be quite reasonable lah. Alright, if you look at your left hand side, this is what I call as a console. So when you install your R programming language, it will be here. So you can just try around. So those that already experience your, okay, so I just quickly show you. Oops. All right, so if you are using cloud, you're going to have an interface similar to this. All right, so you just need to go new project. All right, so you're going to see almost exactly like what your dedicated installation will look like. But can you see? It depends on your internet also. So for those using this, you can just try my example using the cloud. Okay. Right. So if you see on the right hand side, this is what a console look like. Maybe you can try, for example, 1 plus 1, 2. Right. So in this area, you can fully use all the functions available in R programming language. Right? As simple as this and as advanced as using function or features like that. Okay. And if you see here, this area here on your left hand side, this is where all your scripting happens, where you write your notebook, where you write your script and all these things. All right. So you can change around this. Right. Maybe my UI, I changed the theme into dark. When you install, you might have a light version. All right. So if you look at here, this is where all the notebook, everything will be done. So you can change around, you go to new file, and you can have R script and things like that. So all the scripting, all the coding happens here. All right. If you have different sets of project and things like that. If you look at down here, okay, this area is where all your environment is actually stored, your data set, your files, right? The history that you use. My previous history, I clear is still there. Let me clear for you. All right, so it's there. And if you see on the bottom here, okay, this is where your working folder is actually R. Right? This is where your working folder actually are. So all the processes, all the files, let's say you have images they're working, then it will be stored here. All right, very straightforward. All right, so let's try. So if you want to try together with me, you can actually try. All right, so let's try the first one. I think we don't need this. And I just show you from here. All right. So if you're trying together with me, don't worry, we go slow. And if you face any difficulty, you just share with me. Right. If you look at here, I'm going to introduce you on the basic that is actual object itself. Whether it's Python, whether it's R, you need to have a way to manage the objects. For example, in R, how we actually use, for example, I can just say A, right, is 2, for example. So this particular here is actually you are assigning A, all right, with 2. For those that have Python background, you're going to see this is something new for you. Correct or not? This is like, wow, what is that? In R, we use this as an assignment, not equal. You can actually use this, right? Nothing wrong with that. But you're going to see if you are working with R languages, the community will prefer to use this. All right. So this is how you assign things in R. All right. So that's why you're going to see, wow, what is this? Okay, something new for you. But basically, it works as the equal sign. It's assignment now. Okay. So let me quickly do for you. So B, let's say 3, and C, let's say 4. Right. So now, if you see here, this is a notebook. I can actually run here. Right now, if you see in my history, in my environment, there are values actually stored. Okay. All right. So this is how you work around. But I'm using a notebook. If you're really interested, you can actually use your. Can you see here inside your console? The base R also have this particular function that you devise. So you can actually do it here also. Right. It's up to you now. Right, so I close this for a while. Let's continue back here. So if you see here now A is 2, you assign values for each of these unknowns and you can perform operation just like how I show here. So for example, you have a new unknown that is Z and you claim that Z is actually A plus B minus C. So operation, arithmetic operation, basic operation can be performed also. Then you get the value of your Z. So you see here the output is displayed as such and the output is displayed as such. So this, I'm going to introduce you slowly before I go to the main thing, that is how we do the data set itself. Right? But anyway, the fundamental always start with the object. You need to know that, right? So in the next, vectors. So this is something new. So you won't see this in Python. Right? How you actually can create or store data. So it looks similar like a list if you have background from Python, but it's not a list, right? So let's try to do basic R. Okay, I can actually use this. All right, so that you can see. So let's see. All right, so if you're working with RStudio Cloud, can you see, you will have something similar like this. This is the console, this is the environment, can you see? So those want to follow my tutorial, but you're using cloud, you are welcome to do so. Very easy setup. Just sign up. Exactly like what Tanzeen said, is similar to Google Colab. So very easy. So you can actually try that. It's just that now I'm using file, new file is R notebook. Okay, and it will ask you to install something, then you can just say yes. All right, so you can try from here also. All right, let's continue with this. The second is vectors. All right, vectors. We can do vectors now. Right, so let's try to do vectors. If you see here I assign A is equals to 2. Now I want to assign an unknown with a group of values, a set of values. All right, so I can say X. I'm going to use a function like, can you see C? C is something we call it as glue together. All right. So you have few, and then you try to glue all of them together into one single vector. All right. So if you have linear algebra kind of background, so you know, right, vector matrix similar to that. So 1, 2. I just follow the slide and draw. Right. And then I have another vector. Let's say y. C. Let's say 14, 5, 2, so 6. And you see now I have two vectors that is actually x and also y. Right? So let's combine this. So you can do vector arithmetic x plus y, then you'll get. All right, so 15, 7, basic addition. But you just make sure you need to have the vector that is in the same dimension or the same size. Okay, if you don't have this, then you're going to see not working. There's something wrong already. So in order to have a vector kind of addition or subtraction, make sure it's the same dimension, all right? Okay, this is the most useful one. So if you want to see a lot of usage in Python and R, for example, why the availability of its functions, thanks to the community lah. Okay, you can actually use it all for free, right? So thanks to the community, a lot of useful functions available for you to use, right, to make your problem solving or your basic data analysis to be faster, right? So I'm going to introduce you some base. Okay, so those that follow my guide just now, you install the R, right? So it comes with base functions. All right, that is what this slides is about. So let's try to do this. So I'm just going to introduce you some base R. Okay, functions. Right, some base R function. So it comes with a set of functions that you can actually use without the need to import libraries. All right. So for example, let me just create a vector for you so that we can play around. So let's say 5, 9, okay, 2, and also 8. You see, I create a new vector called D. All right, let's run this. Oops. All right. I create a new vector called D. Right. So let's see what D can actually does and what are the function you can use. For example, I can use length. It's easily readable. So you don't need to have a lot of, so that's why this kind of high level language easier for us to promote, not only for computer science background student, or even for non-computer science or IT background kind of students. So let's say they have a problem to solve. Let's say they have a research to do. So Python and R can be very suitable for them to begin their programming skill, for example, right? Because, for example, you just want to know the length, so you can just use the function. So straight away in the name itself is, it's length, very clear. So you get 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, the length or the size or the dimension. Later, you're going to see a lot of new names. And I can use sum. Pretty straightforward from the name itself, sum. You plus all together. 5 plus 9 plus 2 plus 8. Okay, from the name itself. And also you have a max. Okay, max. I mean, based on my experience, you can't remember all the functions available. Everybody will have somehow, somewhere need to refer to, we call this as cheat sheet. Right? A lot of kind of guide for you. So in internet or in every kind of languages, this available. So you can't remember all the function that you need. So, but the thing is, you can actually know what are the things you're looking for. Then you refer to the internet, all right, or any types of cheat sheet, and then try to find which function you want. For example, max gives you the highest value, and min gives you the smallest value. All right, very straightforward. So that's why this particular slide here to introduce you on the functions available that you can actually use. Very pretty easy. This will be very useful. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Subsetting. This is very important. For every programming language, need to have the ability for you to find where this particular value is actually stored. Right? Let's say you want to do some customization. Okay, I just need this size of data, or I just want something from this location. You need to have how to say, a feature or a function that can do so. So let's try the basic R subsetting. Right? Let's see what subsetting actually can does. All right. So again, I think I can just use this. I try to name it differently lah. Maybe okay lah. Okay, what are the names you want? So for now, everybody is okay. Any question you wanna ask? Just post there. I can answer for you. Any question for now? Right. So if you see here, I have a new, how to say, vector I created. And let's say you are interested to access this particular value here. Okay, let's say you're interested to access this particular value here. Okay, you can just use K. See this, I'm using a square bracket. If you look at this carefully, I'm using a square bracket. Square bracket is indexing, right, or subsetting. Okay, square bracket is the one we use to tell or inform to extract this particular index value. So for example here, I want something from 3, then I get 1, 2, 3. Very important note to take, in R, the index start from 1. Okay, do you know what is index number? Anybody? Okay. Are you familiar with index numbers? Yes, that's very good. So Python start from what? Very good, very good. Okay, Python start from 0, but just take note that in R, it start from 1. Okay, so that's why if I put 3, I have 1, 2, and also 3. Okay, and you might have, so we are assuming, yeah. Okay. So let's try other ways that we can do that. Okay. For example, I have K 2 to 4. Right. If you see here now, I've been giving it a range. Okay. I'm giving it a range. If I go here, sorry, I'm giving it a range. So from 2, because if no, can I do like this? Let's see what happened. Cannot. All right. So what I do, I can give a range, then I can get the values. Right. So there are a few ways, but this is, I'm just showing you very fundamental. There are so many other ways or very interesting ways for you to do this part. Okay, what I'm just throwing to you, especially for beginners, if you're interested, for beginners, I cannot make this language looks very scary, right? So I need to show all the nice things first, so that you are interested. Then only you're going to see all this difficult thing coming later. All right. Okay, let's go to the main part that I'm interested to introduce you today. Okay, packages, or in Python you have libraries, correct or not? All right, what is this? Okay, most of our job nowadays are getting easier because of availability of packages and libraries. For example, here are packages. Okay, R also consists of a lot of packages. So packages are collections of functions and data set developed by the community, and it's the official one lah. Okay, for R packages you can get from CRUN. All right, So they increase the power of R by improving existing base R functionalities or adding new ones. Okay, similar also like Python. You're gonna have so many pandas, matplotlib, sklearn, all these things are Python libraries. In R also we have a lot. But today I'm going to focus something that is actually packaged like to use in data science, because the main idea for my webinar today is all the tools that available nowadays for data science kind of course, field, area, and all these things. All right. So the package name is called as Tidyverse. Okay. So the Tidyverse is a collection of R packages. Not only one packages. If you notice, why I'm using, okay, let me answer Kenny's later. Okay, I'll get back to you, Kenny's later. So the Tidyverse is a collection of R packages designed mainly for data science kind of environment. If you see here, I'm providing a link for a book. Okay, a great book. Okay, these are some of the books I use in my class also. So sometimes I put it there also. Okay, later when you have this slide, you can just get the books. All right. So this is very useful book for you to know how R can be used. All right, how R can be used for data science kind of problem solving. All right. So here, if you let's go back here. So if you notice here, I'm going to install packages. If you notice or not. So once you need a package that is not part of your base R installation, you need to install. All right. So how you can do so? You can go to tools. Okay, if you see here is tools, I'm teaching you the GUI version. Actually, you can type this command also. Okay, you can just type this command, but never mind, we just go to tools. If you see here, install packages, just click install packages. All right, so you're gonna see a small window will pop up. All right, so you just go here. I don't think so you need to change the rest. You just go here, go packages, tidy, Tidyverse. Right? You can use the Tidyverse. So you just install. I'm already installed. All right, you can just install here. All right. Okay, let me get to Kenny's question. I think Kenny's is asking why I cannot. Are you talking about this? You just things that I write above. Maybe you can try Control CNT. Maybe you can try to click or use Command Control L. Okay, I think you're trying to clear the history. Try and see Control, then you get back to me. All right, so let's continue here. All right, so once you install your library, that is actually Tidyverse in our case. In order for us to use this, we just use library Tidyverse. In Python, see, remember from this import this, so import. Okay, we will use import in Python. All right, or we just say from pandas import this, from NumPy import this kind of. So here in R, we just say library and whatever library that you're planning to use. So you run this, some messages will come. Right, sended messages, that's it. So now you have all the functions that available in this library. Okay, now you're going to have all the functions available on this library, and it will be automatically updated also with some bugs and things like that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. This is the most important part. All right, so you're going to see any types of IDE, whether it's RStudio, Visual Studio Code, or Spider. You need to have a way for you to import the data. Okay, if you notice here from object, I start my presentation or talk as an object. Now finally we managed to go to the main thing, that is the data set. So most of us will be interested to work with data set nowadays, correct or not? Okay, so let's just quickly go here. Go hard. So let's say now my unknown is I just name it as data lah. You can name it anything you want. I'm going to use something called as read CSV. Okay, if you look at here, so that's why we need ID and very helpful. Can you see all these suggestion will be automatically recommended for you. If let's say you're really good, you can just try using Notepad also, if like, very expert already. But most of us will need some sort of ID to support or to help us or to guide us, while we are doing the coding. Correct? So for example, here I'm going to use read CSV. If you notice here inside the curly bracket, it's mentioned as read R. Okay, it mentioned here is read R. So read R is the package, but read R is a package under tidyverse. Right? So I'm just going to use this. I'm going to use this. But then I'm going to use each. Let me just save this first. So make sure you save this. Okay, so once you save in the working directory, you're gonna see some suggestion like this. Means make sure you save where the data set is available. So once you do that, you can just type the name, like for example like this, and then press tab. So once you press tab, all the data set inside your folder will be listed out like this. Easier can. But the thing is you must save in the folder that you're working with. We call this as working directory. I think you see is Python, it's all the same. For example, today I'm going to just use this. This is the part you won't have, but from now on you can just follow me. It's a very simple data set. I'm just showing you how to import a data set into a R. And please take note, once you import a CSV file into R, now it's called as data frame. Right? You're going to hear that a lot. Now, finally, you have access to your data. Okay, so it's a very simple data I created for today's talk. It just consists of age, weight, height, and also number of siblings. I use this data set in my class, especially to show them how you want to find relationship between variables or attributes. All right. So you have age, weight, height, and also number of siblings. So 4 columns, and you have rows. Later I'll discuss with you how to find the size. All right. Okay, good. Right. But this is not the only way. There are a few ways. Some even can go file, import data set. You can do so. All right. So once you import this, you're going to see it's available here. Once you import your data set, you're going to see it's available here. Can you see? Data, 16 observation and 4 variables. This is a very small data set, so don't worry that much. Okay. So now, once you have the data set, let's see what we can do. All right. So from now onwards, whatever we are going to do is called as data wrangling. Okay. So data wrangling is quite a new term that's been widely used in data science. So it's about your ability. You can even do this in Excel or Python or R. Or so many tools out there that can do this. But the data wrangling itself means your process of deleting or arranging or sorting or filtering. So these all are considered as data wrangling. All right. So some of it can be data cleaning also. So you're going to see a lot of terms out there available. So don't worry about the name. So let's say you try to do some sort of selection, or you try to filter based on condition. That's a data wrangling. Right? It can be as simple as that, and it can go very advanced also. Remember that. So basically, today's webinar is about the process data wrangling, and I'm going to demo to you using programming language R. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's quickly do this. So now I'm going to do something called as data manipulation. So inside data wrangling, you can manipulate your data, right? So for tidyverse, okay, I write in the slides here. In tidyverse, there's a package called dplyr, all right? Names looks a bit weird, right? dplyr. Okay, so learn how to pronounce all these library names. I also have difficulty to pronounce all these names, right? So data manipulation can be performed by using three main functions. You're going to have three main functions. Okay, so let's say the data is the one that I use here. Okay, you're going to see something new here. This is what we call as pipe. If you see here, this is pipe. This is an availability for you to write a better or much more readable kind of code. So whenever other people read that knows how a pipe works, they can easily know the whole data manipulation process you did. For example, the data set I'm going to use is data, correct? So I'm going to use a pipe. I'm going to connect to my first function called select. Sorry, select. And then I'm going to select. For me, just for example, for me for now, I just need three columns or three attributes. I'm just interested about age, weight, and also height. I'm not that interested about number of siblings. So let's go here. We go age. All right. We go weight. Oops, sorry. WIGHT weight. And then what else? Okay, we go height. Can you see? So select is very straightforward. By the name itself, you're just selecting, very obvious from the name, can select. So you're just selecting the rows, or sorry, the columns that you need. Or later, theoretically, okay, in data science course that I teach in Utah, I to teach them what is attribute. What attribute actually means. What each of these columns is representing. All right. So for example, here age, weight, and also height. They also will learn whether this is a discrete data type or continuous data type. So here I'm just selecting these three age, weight, and also height, right? Then I run this. So can you see from this, the data set, the raw data set you actually import from the CSV file. Now I did my first data manipulation. I select three rows that I want, right? So now let's do the next step. I'm going to use arrange. Sorry, age. If you look at here, my age is 19, 21, 18, 22, something like this, right? Can you see? It's not ordered. So let's see what arrange does here. Can you see? So by default, arrange will order from the lowest to highest. Because whenever you have a raw data, let's say the data is collected without ordered. So sometimes it might be ordered differently. But for now, I want to order according to age. So from the youngest to the oldest. So from here, that is unordered. I managed to order it. Can you see what I'm doing now? This is the whole process is what we call as data wrangling. But later, for now, I'm just giving you an example. Later, whatever step you do, there must be a justification later. For example, you want to do a model, okay, a linear regression model. Then you decide, oh, this is the data wrangling I need to do. And the third one I want to show you is the availability to filter. So these three, what the R tidyverse claim, this tree is sufficient, or this tree is the main three function that you need to use for data manipulation or data wrangling process. So we go here, we go filter, and then we go age more than 24. All right, can you see or not? Now the name filter, what do you think the filter actually going to say? From the name itself, okay, filter. All right, I need to give a condition. Okay, with this condition, filter it out. So let's try to do this. Now you only see data that is age more than 24. So can you see or not? This is what, so with these three functions, you can actually do a lot of things. Right? Depends on how is your problem. It always goes back your understanding of the problem and how you're planning to solve it. So it doesn't matter which tool you use. It always go back on your, are you clear on your problem solving skill or not? Okay. We go to the next one. So here, if you notice, these three main function don't have the power to create. Correct? No? They just select, they just rearrange, they just filter. So it can't create. So we need one function. Right, I can do it here. So we need one function that have the power to create new variable, a new attribute. This is very, very useful. For example, today in my presentation, I'm going to present very simple one. So we can actually quickly go for it. Yeah, data. So I create the pipe, select as usual, select with height. Then I just mutate. Okay, so I think in school you already have some basic mathematical formula, right? So if you want to find BMI, okay, you need to have width and height in their equation. So for example here, if you see this slide now, I just created a simple new variable you need to create. For example, some of you might can create speed from distance and time. Is it correct? Correct. So can you see now your ability to create a new variable with existing variable or just some basic arithmetic that you want to multiply with 2. Here I just want to quickly show you. I want to create a new variable called BMI with divided by, I just copy from here. Right, so I can do that. Oops. I don't have. So now I have created a new attribute or column called BMI. So don't worry, sometimes they call this attribute, sometimes they call it column, sometimes they say variable, some say construct, it's the same. So can you see now I'm able to create BMI by using width and also height. So if you notice, this is a lot of similarity with pandas library. Okay, so tidyverse, some of it you're going to see some similarity with pandas ability to do certain things. All right, and then you can just add, let's say you said, let's say BMI over than 25 is considered overweight. You can just filter BMI more than 25. Then you have this. Can you see or not? So this is what we call as a data science process. You have data set, you create new data set, and then you filter according to some condition given. But it always goes back to your domain, area of domain. For example, here, maybe I'm working in health industry. I have my patient's weight and height, and then I want to filter those people that is actually overweight. It's very pretty easy step for you to do that. Not that difficult, correct or not? Okay. So it's just that you're going to see maybe the patient data set in an SQL kind of database. You need to find a way to import here. All right. So can I see the chat? All right. Okay, everything is okay for now. All right. So I think we're almost to the final one. Okay, we're almost to the final one. The final is visualization. So if you feel that you think it's too much for me, don't worry. This is just introduction because I would like to introduce you first. So if you're interested more, you just can chat with me or you can just message me or some of the videos you can actually watch also. And the final one before I end the webinar today is about visualization. So if you notice, visualization is a very huge field itself. So many things you need to learn. Sometimes there's a textbook just for visualization theory, but I just do it in one slide. So don't worry if you don't understand that much. Very simple introduction. Data visualization. All right. So data visualization, what is that? Okay, so I think in school when you study maths, you learn about scatter plot, you learn about line graph, you learn about so many graphs, right? And you might learn about bar plot, you learn about what else? Pie chart. Okay, so these are all the visualization that actually I mean. Okay, statistical kind of transformation about your data set. Okay, so in Tidyverse, still remember the whole thing I'm demonstrating today is only using Tidyverse. We have a package or a function called ggplot. I think some of you will be laughing, right, when I say GG, right? So what to do? The name itself is ggplot, right? So data is equals to data, okay? So because you're going to use this data here. So let's say I just run like this, you're going to see a white canvas given to you, something similar to this. All right, but what is interesting, this is why this kind of tools is very useful for you to produce something very fast for beginner. Okay, I'm just going to use a plus symbol, a layered, and I'm going to introduce you something called geometry. And for now, I'm going to just draw a scatter plot. I think you might know what is a scatter plot. Zoom point. And then I want to tell, hey, can you please use X as my width and Y as my height. And then let's just plot. So you will have your first basic scatter plot. So a lot of theoretical background needed, but I'm not going to go through that today. But you'll see the scatter plot is very, very important, and it can actually show a lot of useful relationship between two attribute or two variable, right? Because you plot in a two-dimensional plane or Cartesian coordinate, and you try to see how they actually related, and you can actually check whether they are linear kind of relationship or non-linear kind of relationship, and you can do some customization, okay? You see, there's a one of my video in YouTube where I say kecantikan graph. So in that video, I discuss all the possible ways you can have to make your chart beautiful. Okay, so there's always a need to make your chart beautiful, but you cannot neglect the main information that you want to share. Okay, that's the huge area itself. For example, let's use some theme, all right, then I can label them and all these things can be done. So you can actually do all these things, but you can't neglect the main information you want to do. If too many things, then what you want to deliver, then people might not see. For example, here I just want to show a simple scatter plot between X and Y, that is weight and height. So it clearly shows you when the weight increase and the height also increase. But there's somebody here a bit weird. So this guy is really overweight. Okay, can you see? But the rest of them, when their weight increase, can you see? I can actually explain to you a relationship. When the weight increase, the height also increase. But after 190, you can't see a lot of people. Most of them around here. So many discussion can be made out from here. All right. Okay. So anybody have any question for now? Okay. So now, before I end the webinar for today, so let me conclude. But for those you have a question, you are welcome to chat. Can you show us how to retrieve rows or columns, add rows or columns and changes? Yes, I can. But retrieve rows or columns, add rows or column and change rows or column. Yes, can, but it depends on the data set. Let me see whether I can do this data set. But okay, if you want to add rows, how you want to add rows? Just random values. What I can show you is retrieve columns. I already show you. Okay, you can just use select to retrieve columns. All right. Change rows or columns using the data set. Change means change the position or change the name. Change the data. You mean, okay, if you want to change an individual row, can be done. But if you want to change the individual row, you can actually use the index. Yeah. Okay, you can actually index. But that's actually a lot I need to show. Okay, never mind. I just quickly show this. We go back here without using the select, because we rarely change the values. The only time we change the value is we want to replace it with missing value. Okay. Can you see or not? So let's say you found a 0 in your data set. So I'm assuming you want to change the 0 into a missing value. Because if you want to change, unless you're really sure, you can actually use this. So I just quickly show it here. Insert R. Okay, for example, data. Okay, this is the data you use. And then, for example, so can you see here? For example, here I say 3 is your height. Okay, then I just put comma. If I put like this, I'm going to have this row. You see? So I'm going to use the index to show you, because using tidyverse, you have few steps to do if you want to just change the value. Right now, you can actually, let's say I put this to, what do you get? Weight. So I can use this. Let's say you want to change the weight into 58. And ZN, are you okay? So you can just change now. Yes. But notice this, I'm just using the base R to do so, not the tidyverse. Okay, but the thing is, you need to, you can do it, but you just need to make sure you justify why you want to change it. But most of the time, you will change this into this unknown, or when my, okay. If you want to use the plus or you don't enter, then you change to the next line. All right. I hope I can answer Tan Zien. That's good. Very good, very good. I see a lot of interesting questions in the chat. Very good, all of you. All right. So let me summarize and conclude this. So as I told you before, I did introduce about me. I'm from Department of Computer Science. So to be particular, what I teach in Computer Science department is I teach data science course. All right. So data science course is offered as part of Bachelor of Computer Science program in Utah. So in this course, the student, for example, my student this semester, I will introduce them a bit of Python, a bit of R, a lot of tools they will be learned. It's just that we try our best to, come up with a very nice learning program. So let's say you're interested to learn more, you can just visit our website. You can just click here. When I share with you the slides, you just can click here. All right. So I would like to say thank you very much for all of you. Very good. On Saturday morning, you will come and learn. This is a very good effort. I'm very proud of you. I don't know whether Google Meet have a clap button. If not, I'll press the clap button. Okay. So very good. You all are putting the extra effort to learn new skill. And thank you very much. And let's say you want to know more about me. Oh, this is self-promotion. Okay. You can actually subscribe to my YouTube channel. A lot of videos there. For example, Tan Zien mentioned about how to add or remove. So I produce a video there. And also I have a few other videos like how to make your graph better and things like that. You can actually follow that. I just put a link again. All right. Okay, good. So anybody else have any question? If no question, thank you very much. And please, in the chat, did you see or not? You need to join the next, okay. Please feel free to fill up the attendance also in the chat session. Thank you very much and good luck and happy weekend.